Hey guys, welcome to the reddit.com/r/animu podcast. Today we will be talking about the spring season, just the retrospective. We'll just be talking about what we watched, what we liked, what we didn't, and just random crap like that. So here with me today I have 17 writers.
We are 17 literal writers.
Basedbecker.
Sup, bitches?
And Shacking, if her internet hasn't cut out yet.
Not yet, but no promises. What is Uchuu, my fam?
Okay, so yeah, I guess just take that as not a warning, but I don't know, just
I'm gonna rig the
Shacking
podcast. Look out.
Shacking
Rigging the podcast.
has problems with our internet right now, so she may cut out. We may sound retarded, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
At least 3/4 of us are retarded, just confirmed.
We're all on
sound
team
retarded anyway, but like
on team retarded.
Yo,
not
team
zero.
Retarded. Re-zero.
Anyway,
I guess that's a good place to start. Re-zero.
Yeah.
This is True Core show. Some guy called Subaru. He commits Subaru a whole bunch of times.
Spoilers.
It's Reddit's favorite anime of the season, I think, according to the karma charts. And yeah, what do you guys all think of it?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm interested in what you guys have to say about it.
I gotta say that it is, like, just in terms of the, hype for the next episode and cliffhangers, it is the most hype show this season. However, in terms of actual quality, it has its ups and downs. It started off just kind of mediocre and got stronger throughout like the first and second arcs, but has also had long periods that just kind of drag, and the main character has switched kind of intermittently between very relatable and likable to most recently just absolutely despicable, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that in a minute.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way of describing it. It's like pretty entertaining, but I don't know how well it will hold up quality-wise. Like when we look back on it, when we do like a full retrospective on all of ReZero throughout the year. I don't know. I mean, it's been pretty interesting watching it week to week from the get-go, because I think we all kind of were watching it in the mansion arc, just wondering how many times is he going to keep dying and going back and having to redo the same stuff, and how many times are we going to have to redo these same episodes with him. But looks like I heard from light novel readers that the upcoming arc is supposed to be really hype, but you can never trust source material readers because the next arc is always more hype. So we'll see.
Like, these are the sort of people who actually read light novels, and if there's anything we all know about light novels, it's that they're shit.
I thought we just never know the watch order of the light novels.
Oh yeah. Start with the second chapter of the first book, and then you sort of go to the fourth book and keep going from there.
And then you just look at the pictures.
I guess ReZero is pretty hype. My issue with it is that it's typical harem, multiple grills. I think they all take interest in Subaru, not gonna lie. He's just some rando, he doesn't really have any street cred or anything in the world of ReZero. So, for those of you who haven't seen it, this is some spoilers, this happens in the first 2 minutes. It starts with him walking out of a grocery store, gets transported to some alternate world, he doesn't know shit about it, and yeah, he just gets thrown in the deep of it, and thick of it, and from there just shit happens, and he meets a bunch of people, and they all seem to take interest in him.
Yeah, although...
And it can be pretty unbelievable at times, just how it works. The biggest thing I was surprised about that in this random world they all happen to speak Japanese.
That happens a lot. It's kind of immersion breaking, but it happens.
Yeah, although...
but like typical harems, there isn't much of a reason for these girls to like this guy, and because just the nature of the show, the time loopy stuff, I think he develops some intimate relationships between a couple of the characters, and that can be, it's just not the greatest thing to watch, because I think probably for the typical harem watchers, it's just shipping war stuff, but as someone who doesn't watch that many harems, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've seen this before, or?
no, it's just like I don't know. I just don't
kinda
know. It's just
grading.
not.
I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
Although-
degrading. Like,
I think it's also tough because a lot of the show is also like a lot of the humor is kind of meta jokes, so it's kind of lampshading itself while it goes through these tropes. So at some points it's pretty funny when like Subaru will make like at the beginning when he would make jokes and say like, yo, don't activate that flag, or like, you know, just like tongue-in-cheek ways of pointing out that it's like trapped in a game type of show. But then it kind of seems like it's going from being like meta humor that's lampshading itself to kind of like really utilizing those tropes in a not so clever way. So it doesn't really feel like as clever as it was at the beginning when it actually like gives in and starts having like multiple potential love interests, like cliche kind of like power up, like kind of cliche friendship speeches, you know. It feels a little bit less genuine than it was just kind of making fun of itself.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was getting at. It doesn't feel genuine that he develops all these relationships. It's sort of disjointing to follow. And, it doesn't really tell much about his character. He's just a typical, I want to protect everyone MC, but it doesn't even really explore the problem that usually... I mean, it's mentioned once. It's like, if everyone's special, then no one's special sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he's like Syndrome from The Incredibles?
I would kind of
Was that
argue,
so?
though, that Subaru is, like, in some ways, like, a really kind of refreshing break from your standard protagonist man, just in the sense that he doesn't really fall into the two kind of major categories that you run into with specifically shows with kind of like half harems like this, where he's not just an absolute beta, and he's not Kirito either. He's this kind of he's this kind of interesting guy who was a shut-in, but also worked out like a lot and is decently strong himself and isn't like worthless. And he has a decent personality and sense of humor, like a lot of the time. So I found that he wasn't as upsetting. The entire like harem situation wasn't as upsetting to me as it normally is, because that normally also that sort of ships with it a protagonist that is just don't live in a box of hammers.
I'd call him the poor man's Okabe, if I could describe him in like a really simple sentence.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like going for that with the whole like time travel aspect, and he's like got the quirky personality, but he doesn't, at least yet, I mean, we're like halfway done, we don't know yet, like he doesn't seem to have as much of the complexity that Okabe had, so I don't find him like as rootable or likable, but I think he's still pretty fun to watch, and I wonder what he's gonna fuck up next episode.
Yeah, and I would agree with that.
If he was actually Okabe, then you know that mobile phone he has? Yeah, he could just send himself DMs, but he isn't. He's not that cool.
Yeah, and especially
all his phone does is use flash and take photos, and apparently is worth a lot of money, because people think it's magic. It's just not as cool, guys.
In the last episode, episode 13, if this ends up like coming out later, like it was a kind of interesting moment because the more I think about like his kind of complete and utter breakdown and just acting in a way that is what I thought was completely unacceptable, like, and I'm pretty sure most people agree by the end of the episode, like his rant towards the end was pretty much entirely indefensible. I felt like that was a solid character moment, but it also cut off a lot of my personal investment from the show, because like up to that point, like he was a likable enough character that I could sympathize with him, and now it's going to be interesting to see whether or not it manages to pull back my investment in the coming episodes.
One thing, I'm gonna stop you there because we're getting into spoiler territory very much with this, and there are people who might not have watched the show who are listening to this episode. But I will say this in response to that. I feel like by that time he's looped a bunch of times. Like he's died and come back a bunch of times. He's probably starting to feel insensitive to what's going on. He's desensitized to it all.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
I entirely agree, and I think that moment makes sense, especially for his character, since he is described early on as this kind of shut-in, like, neat person. who's like, I guess, more socially apt than your normal like neat protagonist, but that's still what he is. And then all of a sudden he comes into this other world, has like at least some modicum of power, and starts getting the attention of a bunch of people, and it totally makes sense that at some point that's how he starts to react after like becoming desensitized and dying and restarting a bunch of times. So it doesn't feel like wrong to me that it happened so much as I'm just not sure like how much I'm going to be able to follow him and root for him as a protagonist after this point, which was a lot of what the show had going for it, as it hyped you up for the next episode every time. You were always kind of with him in his struggle to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Now, I think that wraps it up just for ReZero.
Yeah.
Just what we want to say. So, moving on to the next most popular show is Boku no Hero Academia, which I believe is a manga adaptation of Shonen Jump's new poster child.
Pretty
I think
much.
that's after Naruto's over, this has become the new biggest thing. Just not much to say about it. It's sort of the second big superhero show that's come out in recent time, following One Punch Man.
Have to say though, there's nothing like, there's been a lot of like, oh, One Punch Man was about superheroes, and now My Hero Academia is about superheroes, but the two shows could not be like more different from each other. Like,
Yeah, they go about it in different ways.
yeah, the main characters are different, the stories are different, everything is pretty different about it.
Yeah, it's pretty different, but I think it's still noteworthy just to mention One Punch Man is probably the only other anime, at least in recent times, that has used superheroes as its premise.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from maybe like the Batman anime.
There's also an
Shout out to
anime called
Batman.
Tiger and Bunny, which deals with superheroes. I would highly recommend if you like the Boku no Hero Academia, you might like Tiger and Bunny. This is a recommendation.
Yep. So, just a couple of facts about My Hero Academia. I believe the pacing of the adaptation is one chapter per episode, which is
It was so
a lot
goddamn
slower
slow.
which is a lot slower than on the anime. It's made by Studio Bones, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, and they're not generally known for doing second seasons. However, we are getting a second season, which is pretty good if you like Boku no Hero Academia. And like, I don't know why I would care if you wouldn't like it. I was going to say, which is bad if you don't like it, but that's not true. Then just
You don't
do
have to
better
watch
things
it.
with your time.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the show?
I've been watching it on like a weekly basis from the get-go, and I'd say like, I think this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I was never really impressed with My Hero Academia. Like, nothing about it really blew me away. And then, especially at the beginning, we had like incredibly slow pacing, and I'm honestly like really cool with slow pacing if you're doing a lot in that episode and in that time frame. But the problem is like, they weren't really doing that much in those like slow-paced episodes to kind of warrant that. And as the show went on, I think it got like a little bit better. Like, I liked a lot of the later events. I thought they were kind of hype. All Might is a cool character. Like, there's a lot of really cool side characters, but like, I just never really could get behind Deku as much, because I feel like they spent way too much time focusing on his emotional like past with not having a quirk and like being really upset about it, instead of focusing on like the good aspects he has about having like strategic insight to heroes and stuff. Like, that was a cool aspect of him that they didn't focus on enough, and I think they really should have highlighted that more instead of the classic Deku tears that we saw almost every episode.
Yeah.
I believe this is minor spoilers. I think this was revealed in the first 3 episodes. So obviously he ends up receiving the quirk from All Might, which is supposed to be super secret, guys. Don't ever mention it. You shouldn't know.
Keep it secret, keep it safe.
So, what was I gonna say? I forgot. I'm fucking retarded, guys. But
Watching too much ReZero, buddy.
essentially,
getting
what
a
I
bit free.
thought, what I thought at first was that he would end up being invited to the school solely because of how strategically good he was.
Mhm.
Like, he would just become the ultimate strategist and be able to fight heroes just that way. Or other
That would have been
users
so
or
much
whatever
cooler.
they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he just
If
ends
you
up
went like full
gaining
Batman
this
instead of
weapon.
Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pretty much agree entirely with everything Shaw is saying. Like, there are parts of Deku that I thought were really cool. Like, I thought the way he handled the like stuff like the battle in the building or whatever, the training battle, I thought that was like pretty well done. It's just that most of the time it was this kind of situation of, especially in the beginning, where I had a really hard time rooting for him because he has this like ridiculously insane dream, and he's like, I'm gonna pursue this, and then the moment there's anything in his way, he just breaks down and cries, and it's like, you're just delusional. Like, you're not normal. Like, you're not to the level of even a normal shonen protagonist where you're
It's
stupid,
kind of frustrating,
but you're actually
honestly.
gonna try and push your way through. Say you're gonna try, but you're not doing anything. And it
You
just
say you're
bothered
gonna
me
try
throughout.
again, and then
You
you
just
just
try again. That's the thing.
Try again.
Was that really the case? I mean, there was a huge breakdown when he was portrayed as probably some 10-year-old when he got told he couldn't have any powers, and he wanted to be like All Might, which is understandable. It's a 10-year-old.
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. It was
Yeah, but
more
we
like
saw that like five
As
episodes,
you
like
move
5
on-
times each episode.
As
Yeah.
you move on, he's obviously
They
expressed
really,
that
like,
he wants to
whacked
be
you
a
in the
hero.
face with that.
Maybe he wants to be a hero, maybe through using all his strategical knowledge to
Yeah,
accomplish it. Like, I think
it's
it was
just kind
getting-
of
Yeah.
what bothered me about it is you kind of have like this internal monologue of like, I'm gonna do this, and then the next second, like, whatever the fire like bully kid at his school is like
Gachon?
talking to him, and he's just like cowering and crying, and it's like, you just like 30 seconds ago you were going on this like hype speech, and now you're this, which it just felt like his expectations of everything were just completely like warped, and it's not like that's a bad character thing, but it made it really hard for me to get invested in him at all, because it's like, you're just a normal kid, guy. You're just a slightly delusional normal kid. But I don't know. The first couple episodes I found to be really boring, and I know I'm probably not like I'm really unpopular in saying this, but like, not only was it like boring, I found like almost nothing that I felt was like unique or interesting for me to latch onto. There were those like flashes of brilliance, like Shaw kind of mentioned, where it would kind of bring up his hero notes and stuff like that, and then it would just kind of fall by the wayside. Once they actually got to the school, though, I felt like it got a little bit better and I was able to watch through it, but I never felt like the show was particularly impressive.
See, I actually thought the exact opposite. So,
Okay.
I think I picked it up 3 weeks in, and I actually enjoyed the first couple episodes. Obviously, they were nothing special, but I still enjoyed it. However, the pacing really got to me as the sort of action scene started. So, like,
Okay.
not to spoil much, but I think the last 3 or 4 episodes take place in sort of one fight. But because of the pacing,
Yeah.
because you want to, you're hyped for this fight, but just the pacing of how it goes is just really slow, and it advances really slowly, and not,
Yeah.
sort of pump with adrenaline, but nothing happens,
Yeah,
I
I
thought
was
that
not
fight
a huge
was
And
fan.
it became
actually-
really frustrating to watch at that point.
Yeah.
I thought that fight
Otherwise,
was
I
handled
think-
decently.
I think
Like,
enough content was covered in the early chapters to keep me interested, sort of introducing the characters, and I actually particularly liked the pacing at the start. However, when the action started, it got a bit slow for me.
So I liked most of what was going on at the school, but I do agree that like the last 4 episodes and that entire fight was pretty like horrendously paced. There were a couple of moments of that I thought were really good, but they were moments.
see, I guess that's where
I
I'm more
mostly liked
forgiving.
the classes, to be honest.
I guess that's where I'm a bit more forgiving, because I think even though I didn't really notice them being slower paced in the last couple episodes, mostly because there was so much going on. Like, there was one fight going on, but there were also many smaller fights going on in that they would kind of flash to, and they kind of all connected at the end. So I think when they go back and forth between all the fights, you don't really notice the pacing as much, because there's just a lot more going on than, like, a Deku monologue on his past. Like, you can't really get around that. But if there's more going on with the fight, you're like, okay, the same fight is going on, but there's so many different aspects to it that there's different things to latch onto.
Right.
Okay, so with that all being said, the next show we would like to discuss is Kabaneri or something. I'm not sure what it's called. I haven't seen it. In my head, I just call it Calamari Attack on Trains, but obviously that's not what it's called. So I'll let someone else take over because I frankly know nothing about the show. I think I might duck out for a short while, and I'll let you guys take over.
So this show fucking sucked. Like, just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so a lot of people say that, like, the show, like, fell off, like, after a couple episodes. I thought it wasn't, like, any particularly good, like, from the get-go. I thought the first episode was, like, unintentionally hilarious. Like, that scene in episode 1 where the girl's mom just gets eaten and shit, and she just turns around and she just sees her mom gets eaten. I laughed so hard when I saw that, honestly. And then the show just got, like, really stupid. Like, the characters are, like, pretty dumb. And it's not even, like a fun dumb. It's, like, just, like, a bad dumb. Like, why did you do this?
Yeah, no, Conductor is objectively best girl because she does her job.
And she's voiced by
She's fit as
Killua.
fuck, too.
Yeah, true.
Voiced by Killua, does her job, best girl.
Is
Done.
muscular. Yeah, no, just wins in every way possible. She doesn't even have many lines, but she wins.
Maybe that was a thing in her favor, is that she wasn't talking as much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, like, that show, man, it started off, and I actually, like, half enjoyed it, because it didn't look like something that was going to be good, but I really liked sort of the color palette that it used, the soundtrack, like, the atmosphere, and I like trains. I just generally like trains.
Trains are cool, and I think are really underutilized in anime.
Yeah,
I wish
and so
more anime would have trains.
And so, like, the atmosphere that was built up by having the trains be their safe haven, and then all of a sudden, like, these, like, terrifying fights on these, like, cramped train cars, that was really cool. It's just that as the show went on, the fact that the characters were just so dumb started becoming increasingly an issue to the point where I couldn't ignore it, and I eventually dropped it for a while and then picked it back up, like, and just finished it today. And they, like, pretty much everything from, I think, episode 4 towards the end it was just hard to watch.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there was
pretty
something
bad.
else that really bothered me in the show, was, like, not like the animation, but the shading in the characters. I thought it was, like, trying to look really retro. It looked like the shading looked like something, like, straight out of the 80s, but it looks super jarring with, like, today's animation. I don't know, it really bugged me.
I don't know. I thought it looked kind of unique and interesting personally. Like, I actually like most of the visual design. I like a lot of the
I like
show
the character designs. I thought those looked really cool.
And I like how it was, like, a cool, like, steampunk with, like, but, like, feudal Japan kind of thing going on. Like,
Yeah,
there are a lot of
it was a
unique
really
elements
interesting,
to
like,
it.
mixture.
Yeah, it's like the world was really well designed, and then the people who were writing it were like, so how do we characters and story? I don't know, well, we need retarded characters to progress the story, let's do that. And that's basically what happened. Like, the
Pretty
main
much.
villain was just, I don't even understand why he was a thing still.
What the like, honestly, what the fuck? Oh, man.
Like, he was hilarious. I laughed at, like, his plans on multiple occasions, just because he's supposed to be this kind of, like, dark and brooding, like, anti-hero sort of thing, but he was just so, I don't know. Like, I don't even know
I'm
how
really
to
curious as to
describe
where
him.
the show, like, went wrong, because the guy who wrote the script for Code Geass, so I was, like, kind of interested in this. I was like, this might be interesting, this might be, like, really fun. And it just, like, I don't even know, it just, like, fell apart.
I think it was
Didn't that
after, I
person
think
also
specifically
do,
after episode 4. I think after episode 4, things changed. Like, they had a different, like, the Edie, like, fade kind of thing. Like, you could tell they were moving in a different direction. And that's when it went in the wrong direction, and it just went downhill with, like, mass retardation.
Sort
Because
of
it would have
like
just
when
been,
you
like,
catch the
enjoyable and mediocre, and then it just, no.
So just sort of like when you catch the wrong train and you realize you're on the wrong train.
Foe.
And then you realize your train is full of, like, zombies, and you're just like, just fuck my shit up, fam.
And then the only thing left is to try again.
And, oh my fucking god.
I'm gonna show myself off this train. Whoops.
So, I'm also pretty sure that the same person who wrote Code Geass, if this is the same guy, didn't they also do Guilty Crown?
I think you're thinking of the same director. This show's directed by Tetsuraki, known for like shows like Death Note, Attack on Titan, Guilty Crown. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I heard you guys like talking about like the animation, and some of you said it was jarring. So answer this for me: would you prefer Noodle People or the jarring 80s style with modern animation?
Definitely
I prefer
this
to Noodle People, but
yeah, fuck Noodle People. TBH.
I mean, I'm in the mood for some noodles, but I don't know. But
didn't know that was your preference, but all right.
Or why not both? So then you get Becker's Avatar.
Yeah, I like how I was like, this is my least favorite show of the season. I gave the show a solid 3 out of 10. Yet my Abby is fucking Cece in Mumei's design.
Could not be more fitting.
Honestly.
Yeah. Okay, Mumei was maybe my least favorite character just because she was kind of the spawn of a lot of the retarded.
Yeah.
Like, the point when she's like, oh no, people are gonna cast other people aside, or just like whatever the hell that shit was about. Like, oh my god.
I think my favorite retardation
like, it was just like
moment...
a how are you still alive moment if that's how you emotional breakdown in this world.
I think my favorite retard moment is every time the group of humans couldn't realize the difference between a Kabaneri and a human, and they thought some humans were Kabaneris somehow, even though they've been attacked by these, like, zombies for, like, how many years? Like, you should probably be able to tell the difference. But they were so stupid that they'd see a group of people and be like, no, they're Kabaneris, let's shoot them. Like, dude, you gotta know the difference between that shit. Like, come on. Like, act like you've been there before.
Yeah.
So, overall, not even Attack on Trains.
Don't watch the
not
show.
Even Attack on
fucking
Trains.
blows.
Not even once. But, I guess, speaking of moving in trains, I guess we can move on to if we have just random shows that maybe not the group has seen, but we just want to give a shout out for either being more impressive than we thought or worse than we thought.
So speaking of like really like kind of like bad shows, did anyone watch Mayoiga?
I did.
Nope.
How was that? I was kind of I don't know why I didn't watch it, but I heard it's like a so bad it's kind of good show. But
I don't understand Mayoiga. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to even think of this show because it's either one of the funniest shows, the most intentionally funny shows I've seen in a while, just out of pure stupidity. Like, we were talking about, like, Calamari not even being, like, so bad it's fun. This is so bad it's so much fun. The stupid shit that goes down with these characters. Someone's named Soy Latte, like, they don't even...
That's so fucking dang.
That's the most basic name I've ever heard.
What's your name? Soy Latte.
Yo, Soy Latte slept on for the season. There's got, like, some dude is dressed up as, like, Jack Sparrow, and his name is Judgeness, and there's a guy actually named Jack, and they spend, like, an episode fighting each other because their names sound similar. Then the next episode, no one remembers these characters because they're like, oh, I remember that Jack. Yeah, he's dressed like a pirate. Like, this show is so fucking stupid. But if this all was intentional, it might be, like, the best comedy of the year. Like, it's one of those shows.
Supposedly it was supposed to be intentional, but I haven't seen the show, so I can't really make, like, a judgment.
I mean, it was
you can never
pretty
really tell
entertaining.
shows like these, whether is it, like, intentional or not.
There's this one screen cap that I think should kind of be the meme of the season, and it's this one dude just sitting here saying, like, man, who really cares at this point? Like, you probably will be seeing that around a lot, and that's the best way you can describe Mayoiga. Like, man, who really cares at this point? That's the show in a nutshell.
If Soy Latte goes to Starbucks and they ask for their name and they say Soy Latte, how would the people at Starbucks respond?
Sounds like we need some season 2s to answer these questions.
Misspelling Soy Latte, probably.
Yeah, they'll probably just misspell it anyway because they're fucking.
It's like they just order like some other coffee. What's some other thing? Like a chai latte, because that's the other most basic coffee you can get. Maybe with skim milk as well. And so, instead of getting a chai latte with skim milk for soy latte, they get a soy latte and write chai latte with skim milk on the cup.
I'm putting you on the Kabaneri train with soy latte so you guys can figure this out.
Dude, I'm kind of in the mood for calamari and like soy lattes right now. It sounds really good.
Alright, so can we all agree to just meet up and have calamari and soy lattes on a train? Like, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty dope, actually.
Yeah, actually, that really does. Like, it's not sound like a bad plan at all, now that I really think about
And
it.
then
Sounds
get
better
shot
than these
because we
shows.
look like zombies.
I wonder.
So on Becca, I heard you really like the Luluco show. What is it? Oh,
Okay,
I don't
so
know
yeah.
the full name. Sorry.
A lot of people like that one trigger show, Kiznaiver, that we'll talk about later. But my favorite show this season, wasn't even Kiznaiver, it was fucking Space Patrol Luluco, the best trigger show this season. Oh my god, I had so much fucking fun with this show. It is so goddamn hype. Like, if you've ever like seen a show by Imeishi, like whether it be like Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, Penny and Stocking, whatever it is, you know you're in for a ride. He's like, it's always balls to the wall, like action, always shit happening. It's silly shit. The show references like so many Gainax and trigger shows. Like fucking Inferno Cop makes an appearance. It's so fucking hilarious. Oh my god. The animation is great. It's got one of the best EDs I've heard in a really long time. Oh my god. I fucking love this show, man. Everyone should fucking watch it.
Same.
Yeah.
I
We'll get on
gotta
that
get more
at some point.
educated on triggerness before I watch it, but I plan on binging this because it sounds like my kind of show.
Oh, Trigger's
Yeah,
become
same.
one of my favorite studios, not only because of like the shows they've done, but like I like their just not giving a fuck attitude about things. Like
Yeah,
they'll
it's
just
also
make
nice that they just make original stuff too.
yeah, it's really cool.
Well, it's kind of neat because I'm pretty sure like their entire brand is just based on being different, and that's what they've sold themselves on, and that's what they're allowed to do. So they kind of get to be the most innovative people for a little while, which is really neat.
Mhm.
Fun fact: because I went to Anime Next in Atlantic City, and they had a trigger panel where they had some. I think it was like the people who worked on Inferno Cop there, and
Oh
there was
my
this
God.
one part that I'm not sure if this was like a not so
Whoa.
What
subtle
was that?
diss.
You cut out.
but-
Damn internet.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, well, so so Trigger had this thing.
Hold on, you're cutting out.
Oh,
Just,
rip.
You're gonna have to go back to the start of what happened at this Inferno Cop panel.
Okay, is this good? So at this Inferno Cop panel, they were talking about other shows they were considering doing, and they were saying how they thought of the idea of following this kid with this kid who wanted to be a superhero, but he didn't have powers, and then they said they dropped the idea because it sounded too boring. And I'm not sure if that's
Dude, shots fired.
yeah, and they were like, it might sound like a certain popular manga, but I'm not sure if that's just them being like, oh, we're just being zany, or if they're like, fuck you, your show is boring. So, Trigger's got kicks.
I mean, it could seem like something they'd make, and it would probably be pretty good if Trigger made something like that.
Yeah, it would probably be better than the actual show that does that, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Huh. So, speaking of things as perfect as Studio Trigger, 17, I do believe you have seen Sakamoto, or at least the majority of it. Would you like to tell us?
Yeah.
your
So
thoughts?
the final episode isn't out yet, but Sakamoto is the kind of thing where you either are gonna like it or you're not going to, and it's I personally loved it. It's a fun, very one-note comedy, where the entire joke of the whole show is that the main character is literally perfect, and every single episode revolves around that fact in some way. Sakamoto is the pinnacle of humanity. Sakamoto did pretty much everything important to our society, to be honest, and I guess that's really all there is to say on it. I think what makes the show is the music and the side characters, because the side characters are all kind of like unique and weird and have their own like odd quirky thing building up, and then Sakamoto of course comes in and solves everything. And the fact that they do have like legitimately like kind of subtle and dramatic music playing at times really helps to sell just how funny it ends up being when the main character ends up pretending that he's trapped inside of a TV in order to avoid his friend's mother falling in love with him and ruining her life. Anyway, that's Sakamoto.
sounds kind of like it would get boring really fast, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I dropped it after that episode around 3. Not because it was a bad show, but because I realized that it was, like, not my cup of tea.
Yeah, and that's why it kind of depends on who you are. Like, I would never suggest, like, watching it weekly or, like, binging it. But it's nice to watch an episode here and there when you're like, oh, I'm in the mood just to watch Sakamoto be Sakamoto. I also love the fucking opening, just for, like, the stupid shit, like, where he puts down a traffic cone and then there's, like, a word bubble that says checkmate. I just... that fucking slays me. Anyway.
Okay, was there any other, maybe more obscure shows, maybe really popular shows that we didn't get around to watching, that, like, maybe just one of you have watched that you would like to just say a couple of words about?
I watched this show called Ragnastrike Angels, which was a 30-second short. Yeah, it was 30 seconds each episode. And it was a commercial, basically, for, like, this mobile app, or mobile game. It was pretty bad, actually. I don't know why I kept watching it, but it was like 30. I guess it was because it was 30 seconds long.
Did you end up getting the mobile app?
No? Why would I do that?
And it wasn't a particularly good app.
Dude, it wasn't worth it.
Oh, okay, so... I promised you guys I wouldn't bring this up this episode, but just shout out to JoJo Part 4. It's pretty good.
It's pretty great too.
We promised we wouldn't talk about sequels, so just saying it's probably the second best show this season. You should watch it, but you should start at the start. Just don't jump into Part 4 straight away. Start at Part 1, guys. And yeah, so I guess that moves us on to the last show we really want to talk about. Keeping the best to last, unless your name is basedbecker, in which case you're fucking... Nah, I can't insult you, because it's both trigger shows.
Nah, you can't. Go ahead,
I can't
buddy.
insult you for that. So, a show we all really liked was Kiznaiver. So, this is yet another Studio Trigger show. I don't know what else to say about it in terms of just general facts about it.
Yeah,
It's
I was
pretty
on
lit.
I was on the kids train like from the get-go because I saw the first episode, and after hearing about the concept, I actually thought it would be like a really shitty show. And then I saw the first episode, I'm like, okay, this seems pretty cool.
Cut out.
And it was one of the rare
Damn it.
shows that... What? Did I cut you off?
Yeah. No,
I'm
you
sorry.
cut out.
Okay, well, I'll
See,
just...
I was worried that when you stepped on the kids train, you were shot because you looked like a zombie, so...
Or you got hit by a train.
That's so true. I probably did look like a zombie, and then they just had to get rid of me. But good thing the kids train went on with or without me. But it was one of the rare shows of the season that got progressively better, whereas a lot of shows fell off the tracks to keep up with the train puns. But Kiznaiver like picked up speed, and it actually had like a pretty good ending considering what we expected it to have. So I think it's like a pretty big standout. It's probably my favorite show that's aired this year. Oh, besides a sequel, but like it's been pretty cool. So you guys just finished it recently. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I personally just absolutely loved it. It is kind of a big deal when I rate a show a 9, and I am giving Kiz a 9. If there's anything that I can recommend that people watch, Kiznaiver. And I guess the biggest reason for that is that it just felt really genuine. Would be the best way to describe it for me.
Okay, so
Both
on a
characters-
scale from 1 to Origairu, how genuine was it?
Origairu plus like 2.
So it's like Otagairu's Zoku?
I mean, no, Zoku's only Origairu plus 1, man. Anyway. I felt like all of the characters, all of the characters felt like very real, and normally in a show like this, and specifically I'm thinking about Kokoro Connect when I say this, you end up with like 1 or 2 like really well done characters, and then the rest of the cast is kind of lackluster. The main cast of Kiznaiver is in its entirety very strong. I think most of us here have our favorite as Chidori, although I think Becker, do you disagree?
I personally prefer Nico, but I understand the love for Chidori.
Yeah.
I'll say
I understand it.
also shout out not shouting out another girl because Chidori is the best, but also shout out to like Tenga because I thought he was pretty great.
Tank
But,
was fun.
Yeah.
He's like slice of life Kamina, but actually like really like the entire cast. Like it's really tough. I was gonna like try and give shout outs to the cast members, and I would have just gone down the line and been like, oh, but I like Maki, I like Yuta, I like Nico
Yeah.
too. Oh look, I like the whole cast. It's really a great
Exactly. And that's what's so great about Kiznaiver, because it really sells its kind of emotional like drama build up to the fact that literally all of the characters are worth rooting for. Like my personal favorite part of the show, without getting too much into like spoiler territory, is I think episode 9. And anyone who's seen it will know the scene where everyone is lying on the ground. That felt like a really great metaphor, just for like legitimately how that kind of drama feels. I don't know, and it sounds really cheesy to say all of this, but like that entire section of the show and what happens immediately after it, just felt very real to me. Which is something that you don't normally get from anime, and especially an anime that looks on the surface to be so over the top.
Mm-hmm.
What I particularly liked about it, that hasn't already been mentioned by the way, because I love the show as well, is it just obviously pulls a lot of inspiration from Trigger/Gainax's previous works. I think there's like...
Oh, they make a Luluco there's a Luluco cameo in the last episode. Just wanted to say
I saw
that.
Yeah,
When I saw that,
feel
because
like
I
a
finished
lot of-
Luluco before I finished Kiznaiver. And I was like, ah, shit!
I think a lot of inspiration is drawn from stuff like Ava, just particularly with the connecting people, and
Yeah.
Hedgehog's Dilemma that does make an appearance for a couple of episodes. You have stuff like homages to Kill la Kill with the roles the teachers have, and how, I don't know, it just reminded me of it. A lot of characters are obviously very similar to other Trigger characters like Tenga and Kamina, and it's just really great. I had a lot of fun watching it. Along with it being what I consider to be the best show of the season, regardless of the references and homages and inspiration it draws from these other works I like.
As you like, on top of that, to add to that, I think on top of referencing a lot of shows, it was just like a very clever way of going about very cliche works. Like there was a lot of meta jokes that I kind of took. Like, I mean, I took that, like, you know, they have in one of the earlier episodes that they have to kind of like, not really spoilers, but like they have to reveal something about their past in order to get to the next round. And I took that as a very tongue-in-cheek way of being like, okay, characters need to develop now before we can move on, you know. Then they have like and then they have at some point like the teachers like trying to pair the people off and like shipping them. I'm just like sitting here saying like, wow, this is like really meta, and it's obviously intentional. Like it's not really like forced, but it is forced. Like the show's telling you that it's forced. So I thought it was
particularly liked it, not to go into spoilers, but you have like one of the teachers there watching the camera as all this shipping stuff unfolds.
Yeah.
And then you have the other teacher come up. It's like, don't you think this is a bit too far? And he's like, no, I want to watch this.
Yeah, and then I'm like, wait a minute, these guys are watching these kids like suffer and stuff. But then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm watching these Chinese cartoons suffer and stuff. So it's like, shit, we're going like super full meta on this, and it was like done in a really clever way. Like I didn't feel like it was like heavy-handed about it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't really feel like I have that much more to add. Just that the kind of difference in experiences here that I noticed as I was talking to, I think, Shaw and Fo about this earlier, about how they were watching it week by week, and I ended up like coming in later and basically binging the entire thing.
No, that was me too, actually. I binged the first 11
I
episodes
watched it
and
week
then
to week,
was
though,
there
but-
when the 12th episode
Okay.
aired.
Yeah,
continue.
because how I personally felt about it, from that, I felt like kind of changed, because I think that Kiznaiver, one of the really great things about it is that it is actually really amazingly paced as a like single whole piece. Just kind of the emotional arcs kind of flow together with you feeling along with the characters, and it doesn't really, and it makes each sort of theme last about as long as it should. I liked that a lot.
Alright, I don't have much to add other than what you guys said, but I really liked the art in the show. I thought the art looked really, like the character designs, while still being like really Trigger, were like really clean looking. It was really, the show was like pretty well shot. I don't know.
Yeah, that's something.
I love their eyes. Their eyes were really captivating.
Oh,
at very important moments.
Whenever they like did a close up on the eyes, I noticed there was like a lot more detail in the face. It looked really beautiful. I found myself taking a lot of screenshots because there was like, wow, that's a really cool looking shot. I'm gonna take a screenshot.
That's something I particularly liked as well, seeing like the Trigger, just the character design and the style of it, but then in a very clean way. I feel like it suited the show pretty well, as opposed to more like the action shows like Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it looks Trigger, but like not Trigger at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was telegraphing from the beginning that the bridge was going to have like a major set piece happen.
Oh, yeah.
From, like how many shots like lingered on the bridge, but the bridge is so fucking cool looking it didn't matter.
There were so many cool shots of the bridge.
I feel like there is some sort of extended metaphor in the bridge. I think maybe
Like they're
when I
bridging
rewatch
people
it, I'll just pay closer attention to when it's open and when it's closed. I believe there is some sort of symbolism in that.
Yeah, there probably is. It does seem like
No,
the kind of show that would do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, something that I had not so much about the show, just about what goes around the show, is that I don't think it was particularly well received. I mean, by the community, and by that I don't mean it wasn't like shit talked or that it was said to be bad, but it's just overlooked, and a lot of the mal reviews, you know, pan it as melodramatic or just overrated.
Yeah, I think the problem was everyone expected Kill la Kill, and they got kind of like Trigger
Something
does
else.
a slice of life. I mean, who's the writer that everyone knows? Like, who does
Mayoiga.
Yeah, she did. Like, if you look at the staff who's on it, like, you're not getting Kill la Kill.
She usually
You're
does like
getting
slice of life
Trigger's
shows.
take
with their-
on a drama slice of life. And I think if you go into it with that expectations, you're not going to be disappointed.
Also,
Yeah,
she is also known for the love polygons. That for sure.
Yeah, this was a really good love polygon. I've seen some of her old ones, like her.
Yeah,
I've
some
seen
of her other
hers-
like love polygons, like Naginuma Sakura, are like
That's
really
what. Yeah,
bad.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was
Love
thinking.
triangles, I actually normally hate them because normally they're set up in such a just, I guess, repetitive way where you've seen this a million times before and one person's clearly supposed to win. But this was, again, just as everything with this show, it just felt real.
It was
Yeah.
handled
Like
really
it was
well.
natural to the characters. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess to me, how I would describe the show if it were just like short sentence is Kokoro Connect done right, and I liked Kokoro Connect to a certain degree, but it also actually did fall into melodrama, whereas this I feel like took a lot of what Kokoro Connect tried to do and just did it entirely right with a full cast that was good. All of the drama felt like it who had actually been built to and wasn't like meaningless. I don't know. Cut that out. Yeah.
Also, something else to add, because I just told my friend just when I was watching it that I was watching it, and it's like, and he was like, oh, isn't that just the one show with the shitty silent protagonist? And that just brings up that, you know, Kachon, not to be confused with Kachan. He's I think he's a really well done character for this sort of silent, edgy protagonist guy with no emotions.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure,
a lot of
yeah.
people just expected something generic. I think it's well done, but I'm not going to talk too much about it without, you know, getting into spoilers.
His voice actor did a really great job of introducing like emotion like subtly throughout the whole show. So like huge shout out to his voice actor. He did like a really fantastic job. And it's not really easy to do that character well because they do come off as boring sometimes. But I think Kachon is like a really great like exception to that rule of like the classic like, oh, you're a boring person and now you're not boring at the end of the show.
Yeah, I think he would just like he was kind of like more boring towards the beginning, but once you're given the context of the entire show, I think he really comes together as a character, and he managed to be one of my personal favorites, if I can pick favorites outside of Chidori in that show, because everyone's really good.
So yeah, I guess that's about all we're gonna say about the show. Before we wrap up, just ask you guys, just as more fluff than anything else, what are your favorite OPs, EDs, and grills or guys of the season?
Ooh, good, tough one.
I don't have a favorite OP. I definitely have a favorite ED, and that'd be the Space Ritual Luluco ED. But I don't remember any of the OPs, honestly. I ended up skipping most of them. But
Yeah. I guess now that I think about it, my favorite ED might be the Sakamoto ED, actually, which is kind of bizarre. But it's just this like weird, like kind of quiet and almost nostalgic song that completely doesn't fit the tone of the show, but for some reason I just liked it generally. And favorite OP has to be Kiznaiver, just because of emotional connections to that. And then Best Girl Chidori.
Just because you mentioned the girl, the word bizarre, JoJo had the best OP.
Okay.
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about JoJo's OP.
I'm so far behind on JoJo.
Dude, you need to catch up.
Yeah, still going ahead. I think my favorite OPs are pretty. I think what we said before. Kiznaiver is definitely my favorite OP. I love the song a lot. I love the unique visuals. They fit the show well. And then JoJo's also my favorite, my second favorite. Great song, and like even the ED remix of it I think is pretty cool. And then somehow my favorite ED is from my least favorite show of the season, which is Kabaneri. I think the ED is great. They have Amir doing the last song, and they have some pretty hype moments when that show gets like the ED transition. So I think that's a big winner. That's a cool winner. And then best girl is Chidori, best guy is Tenga, best ship is Chidori Tenga, best cast is Kiznaiver.
Yeah,
Boom.
None of that is wrong.
Same. Just one thing I want to add to the OP is I did end up buying the Kiznaiver OP, and that's probably the first piece of music I have bought in over a year.
Wow.
I bought it too.
But then again, that's like one of the only readily available anime music that's easy for buy. For us.
Oh,
yeah.
you guys should link me to that, because I'll probably buy it too, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
I
cool
just
to
found it
support
on
them, 'cause-
iTunes.
Well,
Okay.
it's sad too because the band I think is disbanding after this because one of their members is in very poor health. So it's kind of like a nice, like, yo, we really appreciate your good work on this show that means a lot to us. So like, let's buy it. It's also a great song.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that pretty much wraps it up. I hope you guys had a good season. You know, like watched a lot of shows you liked. Maybe some you didn't like. Maybe you didn't agree with stuff we said. Maybe Kabaneri was the best show of the season. And Kiznaiver was a steaming pile of shit. But in that case, I would ask you politely to get out and do things that I probably shouldn't say on the podcast. So thanks for listening. We really appreciate you just coming along, listening to what we have to say. Feel free to leave your opinions anywhere where this is posted. Probably just on Reddit, to be honest.
Or YouTube.
Maybe on YouTube, but YouTube comments are usually pretty cancelled, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, have a good day, and from all of us, just peace out.
Uchuu, motherfuckers.
Bye.
Adios, bitch.